This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm addressing the question, how do I stop overspending? Today, I'm talking about the problem. We got to start at the root. Why is overspending bad? This may seem like a silly question, but it is important to explore it because a lot of us, we just spend money on things, a lot of it mindlessly, and we don't think through the consequences of maybe the financial position that we're in or we're not in. And a lot of that boils down to a spending problem. The truth is, most Americans have a spending problem, depending on what statistics or what research you're looking at. Anywhere from 65 to 80% of Americans spend too much money. We spend too much of our income and we save too little. And the reasons for that are varied. Some of those are out of control, like more recently with inflation. It's not really your fault that eggs are $5 a dozen when they used to be $2 a dozen. But other things are well within our control. And so tomorrow, I'm actually going to give you an easy test where you can self-diagnose if you have an overspending problem, which you can take if you are brave enough. All right, but for today, I want to talk about the problem with overspending. So many of us, we just go through life spending money here or there, a little bit, $5 here, $5 there. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really adds up. And we don't stop to think about the consequences and how the money spent in one area prevents it from being saved and invested or spent on something else that's more important and meaningful and adds actual value to our lives. Now, the problem with overspending is twofold. The first one, and I would say more immediate pressing problem, is that overspending causes financial stress, it causes instability, and it causes the cycle of debt that can be hard to climb out of. Now, I'm actually not going to spend too much time on this one because a lot of you don't have crushing amounts of credit card debt or other debt. Most of you, I would imagine, you have more than the average American has in the bank. 40% of Americans don't have enough money in their bank account to cover a $400 emergency. That's a huge problem, and that's a big reason why a lot of people get stuck in the debt cycle because they have an emergency, they put it on a credit card, and then they never seem to get out. But if you have money in the bank, you have savings in the bank right now for emergencies, I bet many of you listening, because I know my listeners, you're thoughtful and you're concerned about your finances, and that's why you listen to this podcast. So you probably have a lot more than $400 in your bank account. Hopefully you do. Many people, they're thinking ahead too. They're planning for the next year. I think I'll need a new roof. Next year, my car's getting older. I need to set aside some money for some repairs. I'm going to go on a vacation next summer. I need to set aside money for that. So the goal is we want to have enough cash for emergencies and then some additional savings for life's inevitable big ticket items. And most of the problems that come with financial stress and that cycle of debt go away once you have enough of a buffer. So assuming you have enough cash in the bank, the other problem with overspending is that it prevents you from reaching more important financial goals and life goals. Saving enough for a comfortable retirement seems like this far off, very vague goal. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people don't get serious about saving for retirement until they're much closer. And now they have to, they're in their 40s or their 50s. And now they're like, oh my gosh, I got to catch up. And that's because it's I'd like to retire someday, but that's a problem for tomorrow until it's not so far off anymore. And living a comfortable retirement now means maybe hopefully enough money to pay your bills, but not much left for anything else. And that's the kind of thing that we want to avoid. And where overspending can really crowd out these bigger, more important long-term goals. And so instead, the goal is to not be a miser and hoard every penny that you have, but the goal is to have balance and a sustainable spending pattern, a spending habit over time that helps support your immediate goals, your immediate needs, but also longer term goals and the most important things that you want to do with your money in life, both now and in the future. So we have to be vigilant about keeping our spending balanced, prevent that lifestyle creep and overspending from compromising all of those most important goals. That's the main problem, I think, when it comes to overspending, especially if you are not in a position of being stressed or overwhelmed or have crushing amounts of debt. It's just, what goals are you wanting to achieve that you're not sure that you'll be able to achieve because you're allocating more resources to little knickknacks here and there right now? And that's what we want to avoid. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.